I was always curious because you always say that my English is very good, but like, I don't use any advanced vocabulary or like fancy idioms. So like I'm curious, what does like good English mean to you?
For me, good English means clear communication.
Mm,
It means, can you speak, can you pronounce your words clearly? And
mhm,
does the other person that you're speaking to understand you when you speak? Now,
mm,
knowing idioms and knowing further vocabulary, that is something completely different. That is to broaden your English. Just because you don't know these, it doesn't mean you can't speak English. For
mhm,
example, you and I have a conversation. I understand you 100% when you speak,
mhm.
and vice versa. You understand me when I speak. So for me, that is very good English.
So it's like if you have the ability of using English as a tool for communication, right?
Ultimately, English is
Mhm,
a tool for communication.
mhm,
So when for again, if someone says to you, like you said to me just now, is
mhm.
your English, is it good? Of course it's good, because we have a good dialogue, a very clear dialogue. Your
Mhm,
pronunciation is good.
mhm.
Yes, you might make one or two grammatical errors, but that doesn't mean that your English isn't good. It means you can
Yeah.
still communicate at a very high level.
I feel like Korean people, they know enough grammar and enough words, but they just struggle speaking English because they never practice conversational English, like easy English. I guess to reach like this level, like conversational English, I feel like everybody can do it. Only if they just like practice. But people don't
100%.
practice, and sometimes they say there's no point practicing English because you're never gonna get there. I'm like, come on. I I started speaking English like when I was 25. Like I had no idea, but I just practiced. And I reached this level. So if I can do it, you can do it. But people just complain and
Abs-
like they're so negative.
Absolutely. The,
Yeah.
each one of us is different. We all
Mhm.
have different patterns of learning. But what I usually say to all my students when they have this attitude is, obviously for me, it's important to, if someone is negative, I try to bring out and you know this better than anyone, that I try to
Mm,
bring out the positive in them. So some people just need a little bit of a push. But
mm,
in general, if you think about anything we do in life, whether it's learning a musical instrument, learning a new language, and I know for Korean people, it's more complicated because we have a completely different way of writing, a completely different alphabet.
true.
And I get that it is difficult.
Mhm,
There's no denying it. But it doesn't mean that if you're doing English because you need it for work or to
mhm.
study or because you need it as part of your life, then it's very important that you push yourself to learn English. If it's a hobby, it's different. You're not going to
Mm,
put 100% into it. But what I
yeah.
was saying is, anything you learn, whether it's a language, an instrument, driving a car, everything you do, like I'm trying to learn to play the bass. Now, if I
Mm,
do it every day, I will
mm,
get better every day. If I
mm,
do it twice a week, it will take me longer. If I do it once a week, it will take me longer. If I do it
yeah,
once a month, it will take me even longer. So, and
yeah,
it's the same concept applies to language. So there's no
yeah.
reason, if you want to learn English, there's no reason why you can't. And you are the perfect example. Like you
Mhm,
said, you started, 2 years later, you speak very, very good English.
that's true. I just wanna say I did that not because I was genius. I just wanna say everybody can do it if you practice, if you discipline. Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Mm,
But what I always say to people is, if you're going to learn English, surround yourself in an English environment. So watch English films, read English books, etc.
You gotta expose yourself to English
100%. The more
as
you
much as you
expose
can.
yourself,
Mm.
I always say to people, and I like this analogy, not because I made it, but I think it is the perfect analogy because it's what I would do personally.
Mhm.
If you're not in an English speaking country, for example, someone in Korea and they want to learn English, you speak Korean with your friends and your family. So everywhere you go in Korea is in Korean. But when you're at home, for example, in your room or your studio or your office, make that environment that you're in. So change your computer settings to English, change your phone settings to
Oh,
English.
that's what I did, exactly.
Precisely. So everything you do, sticky notes, movies, videos, YouTube, everything you do in English. And that way, yes, it is going to be, and you probably know this through experience, it will be very difficult in the beginning and very frustrating because you don't understand. But the more you push yourself and the more determined you are and the more you will succeed.
I remember.
And then they'll become like you.
Yes, they will. So yes, I remember when I started teaching myself English. It was during COVID. I didn't meet anyone. I didn't even meet my family. I know it sounds crazy, but I was so passionate. So I just locked my door for 3 months and just do everything in English 24/7.
That is determination.
I don't think I can ever do that again. But I don't know, I was so passionate at the time. Yeah.
You put all your energy into that one thing that you really wanted to do. Amazing. If I was to learn Korean, what I would do, and obviously Korean people should do this in English, whoever's learning English, is you should read books. And when I mean read, I don't mean read in your head, read out loud. Because when you read out loud, you're also practicing your pronunciation.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you're practicing the grammar. Oh, this means this. Why is it like this? Let me research. It's very important to read. Reading is, this is what we do when we're kids. When we go to school, what do? We read.
Right.
So this is what we should be doing as adults when we're learning a new language. But even if you don't understand, I always say to my students, if there is a sentence or a word that you don't understand, underline it. But you have Google now, just research it. What does this word mean? And once you learn the meaning of that word, you can store it. And now you know what that word means. So when you come across it again, you know what it means. And it's the same with the phrase. Why is the sentence structured like this? You read it a few times so you get to understand how the grammar works.
It's an amazing tip, actually. People don't really think of reading. They only think of like mimicking American shows because that was a huge trend in Korea. But I personally prefer reading. Yeah.
But there's no point mimicking something if you don't know what it means. So, and I always say, also when you read, depending on what level you are at, always read a book that is at your level. I tell so many people to read children's books, and you get adults screwing their face up at me going, children's book? Yes, because you start from the beginning and you gradually work yourself up. If you have kids, for example, read to your kids in English. So you're both learning English. Yeah. Don't, if you're starting out or you're intermediate, don't buy an Agatha Christie's novel that you're not going to understand.
Right.
Buy Harry Potter, read Harry Potter, or read Peppa the Pig. Read things that are at your level. Don't go above and beyond because you won't understand it.
So find comprehensible material.
Good word. Well done.
Yeah, I wanted to use it. I've been thinking about
Well
it.
done.
So, okay.